Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland Reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland, where each week I take a deep dive into a particular film, and continuing the train of Stanley Kubrick on the show, we're going to be talking about 2001: A Space Odyssey, my number 3 favorite film of all time, because, I love me some science fiction and space babies, but we're going to get there. But to introduce Ian here, who's my guest, I'm going to let Ian introduce himself a little bit and shamelessly plug whatever kinds of things that he works on when it comes to movies.
Well, first of all, I didn't know this was your third favorite film of all time. Now that's a lot of pressure. That's more pressure than I was anticipating.
Which it's funny.
It's going to change all of my notes.
3 weeks from now, when I do The Shining, it's my favorite horror film of all time. So
I'm glad I'm not there for that. That's fine. No pressure.
But so it's going to be a fun conversation. But there you go, Ian. Introduce yourself.
So I'm Ian. I write for SiftPop, and mainly I write for Cinemasins, which is a YouTube channel that basically not takes down, but nitpicks videos in a loving, kind-hearted, good-willing fashion. And on the side of that, I have a podcast called An Englishman and an Irishman Go to the Movies, which I do with, I'm the Englishman in that, in case there was any confusion. And the Irishman is a chap called Sean Ferrick, who works for What Culture. And we just kind of do the standard people on the internet talking about films. And we kind of take a theme. At the minute, we're doing all of the Alien films, and that's including Alien versus Predator, Prometheus, Covenant,
AVP,
all of the stuff. Yeah, AVP. We started with the good one first, Alien, and then it's just going to go kind of downhill.
What's funny is we're going to be talking about aliens towards the end of the show, because it just so happens. So one of my article series that I do this for Scribe magazine is the Wasteland Vintage Roadshow, because I couldn't name anything that's not related to the Wasteland, because we have a brand here.
In-house, that's fine.
I keep a brand. But I write an article about a classic film celebrating an anniversary every week. And it just so happens that Aliens is turning, I guess, 35.
Wow, I wish we'd mentioned that. We just recorded the episode on Aliens this morning. I wish I'd remembered that. But
yeah, came out in 86. So I just watched it Sunday night. So
it's different to Alien. It's a different genre entirely. And it's good. I like it.
And I definitely talked about in my article where it's just like, you take a claustrophobic horror film with an alien in it, give it to James Cameron, he's just like, guns. But
it's almost like Kubrick made Alien and Michael Bay made Aliens.
Yeah, kind of has that vibe, except James Cameron is the much better Michael Bay.
I'm sorry, Mr. Cameron. Please don't cancel me. I didn't mean it.
Don't be offended when you're working on your 4 Avatar sequels that we're never going to see.
Let's not get into that.
But I love, and like, Aliens is one of the most awesome action movies.
Yes, 100%.
Ever.
Absolutely.
And
hoorah.
But
it's Space Marines.
Space Marines. And Giant Queen.
Yes. But not Freddie Mercury. It's an actual giant queen.
Yes. I'm definitely going to be checking out your podcast. And I look at What Culture all the time. So that's definitely something that I read a lot. So very interesting.
Specifically, Sean kind of looks after more the Trek culture side of things. So anything Star Trek related, it's probably got Sean's name on it. But yeah, that's some good stuff.
Awesome. I'll check it out.
That's my shameless plugs.
There we go. And as a man from New Jersey, I was able to identify the fact that you were not the Irishman in this equation. So I'm very proud of myself.
I just have to clarify.
Ignorant Americans. But here we go. So we're going to start things off with our coming attractions for the week. So August 6th, Ian, what's the movie that you're most excited about coming out that week?
So the temptation was to go for Suicide Squad. And I am really, really excited about that. But as I went through a whole list, something jumped its way to the top. and it's a film. I don't even know if it's going to get a wide release, so this is going to be great. It's called Infinitum Subject Unknown. And I guarantee you've probably never heard of it, because I hadn't until about 7 minutes ago.
And I watch everything, and I have not heard of it.
Well, what caught my eye is that it's got Sir Ian McKellen in it. So I was like, how is he bringing out a film and I've not heard of it? So it looks like it's a British film. So it might be why it hasn't quite made it too much to the States. But it comes out August 6th, 2021. And it's a Groundhog Day style film. So a character called Jane wakes up in a strange attic in a parallel world with seemingly no way out, stuck in a time loop destined to relive the same day over and over again with little memory of her doing so before. And with each loop, she remembers a little bit more, and she's in some kind of quantum experiment, and she's the guinea pig, and they have to keep the day constant. So yeah, another Groundhog Day movie, but this is the word quantum in it, so I'm sure it's going to be better. But I am genuinely excited to see anything Ian McKellen does, to be completely honest.
I had not heard about this, and I looked this up on IMDb, release date August 6th. Not only do we have Ian McKellen, but we also have Varys himself, Conleth Hill, in this as well.
Yes.
So, and I guarantee you he'll probably have hair this time.
Yeah, it'll be, yeah, absolutely. You would hope.
I have seen 2 movies with him in it since Game of Thrones ended, and I was just so thrown off. I'm like...
It's weird, because he has a full head of hair.
Yes. And full beard in these films that I've seen. I'm just like, I know that voice.
Wait a minute.
But
wait a minute.
I will definitely be trying to catch this. I'm assuming a film from it's from Gravitas Veritas. So I'm assuming this is probably going to be a VOD release too.
Yeah.
Just assuming.
You think so?
But we'll see. But yeah, it comes out on the 6th. That's a hidden gem we just hooked there.
That was an out of the field, that one. Yeah. I'm not going to go for the big ones. I'm going to go for the little indie flicks.
I was going to talk about, so I'm really looking forward to Annette, that film from Sparks, and with Adam Driver and Marion Cotillard in it. It comes out in theaters on the 6th. I was going to wait to talk about that more in depth when it gets its Amazon release, potentially. But honestly, I was leaning at the Suicide Squad, especially after the Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter came out today.
Yeah.
And with 46 reviews, it's actually at 100%.
No one's more shocked than me. Critics are loving it. I'm just, what? How? What?
So why I'm so excited about this particular film, because I know the trailers for the last one grabbed everybody's attention. Like, oh my God, it's Queen. And then you see the movie and it's kind of a hot mess.
Yeah. Other than Margot Robbie, it's almost unwatchable.
And there's so editing problems. Villains are horrendous. You would think in a movie full of villains, you would actually make good antagonists.
Yeah.
But they didn't. So, but the fact that what gave me a lot of confidence in this is the fact that when James Gunn got fired by Marvel, he's like, we will let you make anything.
Yeah.
And this is what he picked.
Yeah, just come to the dark side, please.
Yeah, come to Warner Brothers. And
let the hate flow through you.
Do it. But he picked Suicide Squad. And I'm
why not?
What he was able to do with a bunch of ragtag random characters like Guardians of the Galaxy, can you imagine what he does for a bunch of more or less Batman villains? Let's be real here. Most of them are Batman villains.
Absolutely.
And
it does give me confidence.
And then I remember when they released the cast, and I'm just like, because you have your Michael Rookers, you have your Nathan Fillions, you have your Sean Gunns, you have the James Gunn specials.
Yes.
And then I saw them they just replaced Will Smith with Idris Elba. They're different characters, But
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing how different Bloodsport is compared to Deadshot. But
Yeah.
we'll hold reservations to that. But like Sylvester Stallone is King Shark. The second I heard that, I'm like, no. And I'm a WWE fan. I've watched pro wrestling since I was in middle school. And when I heard that John Cena was going to be in this, I'm like, John Cena can be funny. I've seen Trainwreck. And I'm like, we'll see. And then when the trailers came out, and I'm just like, did I just hear John Cena talking about eating a beach full of dicks?
Dicks. He's definitely, they've given him the perfect character. Like it's not, he's muscular, obviously, but he's an absolute conflicted clown.
Yep.
It's like, all I want in the world is peace, and I don't care how many people I got to kill to get it. It's brilliant. I hope that's not the best line in the whole film, but if it is, it's still a great line.
In the most recent trailer where he's just like, so, starfish. What do you say? It's something related to buttholes.
Yeah.
Any relation? And I'm just sitting there like, did he really just say that? And then Idris Elba's reaction is, did he really just say that? And Viola Davis is just like regretting every decision that she ever made, putting Peacemaker on this team.
But like, why is she ever surprised? Like, I recently had to watch one of the animated Suicide Squad films, and it is, why is she surprised when she puts these teams together that shit goes sideways so quickly? Like, you duh. Like, why did you think this was going to go to plan?
And I think the part that made me laugh the most was in that first trailer when Idris Elba was like, we're all going to die. And Polka Dot Man just like,
I hope we do.
I hope so. Just like,
it's
this
great.
guy's going to steal the movie. Polka Dot Man over here.
What I'm really hoping is that now, America, I have a bone to pick with you. You are yet to cast Idris Elba in something worthy of Idris Elba. Like in Prometheus, he's just a big old pile of uselessness.
He is one of the most enjoyable parts of Prometheus.
Oh, agree.
They give him nothing to do.
They give him jack to do entirely. Every movie he's in so far, it's just he's wasted. I'm hoping that in this film, he's not just the, oh, look how ridiculous this is, and oh, this is annoying. I hope he's not just the straight man. I hope he's actually given some meat on the bone, because everything he does in England is top notch.
Just keep letting Rick Flag be the straight man, because like, not even a fan. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Joel Kinnaman, and when I found out that he replaced Tom Hardy for the original one, I'm just like,
can you imagine that? He's the most vanilla. I'm sure he's an absolutely amazing guy, lovely man, but he's the most vanilla actor you could put in a film, especially like something as bonkers as this. You may as well have cast Chris Pratt again.
And this is a movie
Tom Hardy would have added a much different layer to it. Yeah. The same thing with Jai Courtney. Same thing. Yeah.
Like, at least he seems like Captain Boomerang actually looked like he had more personality in however long he was in this movie than any of Jai Courtney's movies combined.
Yes. This is the best thing he's ever been asked to do.
And Margot Robbie's fantastic as Harley Quinn.
She saves every film that she's in. She really is. She just, so I think I'm happy we had Suicide Squad just to get Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn.
Yes.
That's worth it. That's absolutely worth it. And it's a miracle that she's agreed to come back and keep doing it after that disaster.
And I will lose it if it turns out that Taika Waititi is voicing Starro. And I'm sitting and watching this movie because they have not released who he's supposed to be.
Nope.
And he was on the list. And I'm like, 100% he's going to be voicing a giant, colorful starfish from outer space.
He absolutely will be. You will not know it's him. He'll be voicing that, or what's his name's helmet. It will be something like in a fever dream. John Cena's helmet. He'll be voicing that when he gets hit on the head. It'll be something like that.
My first guess was, did they cast him as King Shark? and
Oh
go like
man.
full Korg on this.
Yeah.
But then when they announced it's Sylvester Stallone playing King Shark, I'm like, yes. And just like, so this is why I'm excited for Suicide Squad. I'm expecting to sit and watch this movie Dirty Dozen style, because I'm a huge fan of the actual film The Dirty Dozen. And when they released that first poster, I'm like, yes, this is exactly what they should be going for. And this is going to work. And apparently it did. And I'm excited to watch.
I'm excited. I really hope it holds up. It should have always been DC's Guardians of the Galaxy, not that dark puddle of what's it that we got a few years
Well,
back.
the worst part was, like, if David Ayer really went full dark in his cut, because, you know.
Yeah, oh my God, release the Ayer cut. Enough. Stop. Just because it worked once doesn't mean it's going to work again.
Because, like, if they went fully dark with it, fine. If they went full, like, James Gunn, like he obviously did with this one, great. But they didn't. They fell somewhere in the middle. It just felt like, what's this movie trying to be?
It was DC still trying to find their feet. I think at that point we'd had Batman versus Superman, I think.
Yeah, like 5 months beforehand, because they came out the same year.
Yeah, exactly. And there was still a lot of backlash from that. Just the DC EU just never found itself.
They made the mistake of trying to borrow cave trolls from the Lord of the Rings movies to throw in as villains in Batman v Superman. That was my first reaction. I'm just like, did you just copy and paste the CGI from the last Hobbit movie?
You do realize those Hobbit movies, they weren't that good.
Nope. And you know what? At least the cave troll in Lord of the Rings was in a dark setting.
Like, at least that made sense.
But anyway, those are some movies to think about for August 6th. But now it's time to jump in to our feature of the week, 2001: A Space Odyssey. From apes to space babies.
Back to
a journey. So there's one question I really wanted to start off with for you, Ian, is which section of the film do you like the most?
Oh man. I'm pausing deliberately because my gut instinct is everything with HAL 9000, which makes sense. It makes sense. But I really, really like the second segment. So this is from getting onto the station orbiting the Earth, and just the setup of the mystery. Like, that entire scene can be condensed down to the conversation that he has at the dinner, at the little bar table, and how there's a conspiracy and there's some kind of outbreak on the moon. Like, that entire bit of the film can be cut and just have that conversation and it makes sense. But for just that scene, more than anything else, sets the tone of the film. It's about realism, and there is about an hour and a half worth of story here and an hour of this is living in 2001. So it does kind of, if only. Yeah, we're a bit behind.
20 years later, still not.
Yeah, come on. I didn't get my Back to the Future hoverboard. I didn't get this. Come on, future. But if you're not on board with the film by then, that's a great time to check out and say, I'm never going to do this. Catch you later, pals. But if you're on board, you know that you're going to enjoy the rest of the film. So I think I'd stick with that because it sets up a great mystery. It's self-contained in itself, and oh man, the monolith turning up on when they find it on the moon is just, oh, that's tingles. When that music starts up again and the choir screaming, we're back to monkeys just poking a space column.
Yep. Which I have so that section of the film I feel like is the one that gets the least amount of love too.
Agreed. Totally agree. That's probably why I've picked it.
And like the new waltz of just those ships dancing through space and just
show the whole thing, like start to finish. You may as well have shown us the construction of the space station at the same time. Like, Kubrick does not care. He's like, you're going to watch all of this and enjoy it.
Yep. What's so fascinating is, like, we'll obviously talk about this a lot, but the technology that Kubrick used, and how did he make this in the 60s?
Every single note is 1968 question mark? Like, really?
Because how they use projected screens on things, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So before I get back to talking about this section, because I really want to talk about that chat at that table,
Yes.
I have a couple of notes from Shane from college days. So
Nice.
note one. So I used to sit behind my friend Dave in my finance class, and I would type out on my TI-84 graphing calculator, "I'm
Nice.
sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that." And just
That's
like
amazing.
slide it over his shoulder randomly during class. So that was always fun.
That's amazing.
My senior year was I was an accounting major, and I have my master's in accounting as well. So a lot of businessy things. And I was doing a presentation on Apple versus Samsung, the endless war of suing each other. And
yes, I made it first.
Samsung literally used 2001: A Space Odyssey as evidence that Apple did not create the iPad.
Oh, amazing. Well, they could also use Star Trek because they had them, way, way back in the Next Generation.
Yeah, because which it's fascinating when they have that crazy Dutch angle of that camera looking down and he just eating away, but then has that tablet sitting there and like a video playing. How Kubrick got that projection to work and make that look so believable. And you're like,
and now we're doing it. Yeah.
And Arthur C. Clarke doesn't get enough credit for this film.
No, he doesn't.
Because like he was the big like technology kind of person, and he predicted so much like actual technology in real life. Just like, man's a genius.
Well, the poor man he hadn't even finished the book, had he, when Kubrick said, "I'm going to make this a film." And it's like, could you at least let me get to the end?
So they worked together on both. Yeah. And obviously, because like I've read all of the Odyssey books and I'm a fan of them, it's a very different experience because like you get a lot more answers in the book to what the hell's going on, and Kubrick gives you none. No. Kubrick's just like, feel it.
Yeah.
Experience it.
Whatever you want to take away from it, which helps us with our discussions because we can imagine that we've done all of the research, come up with some very profound statement, and that's just my interpretation, and valid as anyone else's.
Yep. And my last note from Ryder is my work computer has one of my favorite still shots of any film, and it's the sun aligning with the monolith from that shot up from Dawn of Man, and that's the background on my computer at work.
Very nice. I really hope that your friend Dave had a different version of that story where he tells it as, this guy just used to always sit behind me and he kept poking that damn calculator over my shoulder. Well, and it just killed me.
Dave and I are very, very close friends. And like, he's actually going to be coming over because we're going to watch Suicide Squad on HBO Max again.
Oh, nice.
So, and Dave's going to be one of my groomsmen at my wedding. So
okay, that's fair. It couldn't have annoyed him that much then.
Yeah, Dave and I are very good friends. He got a kick out of it. He started laughing every time.
That's amazing. Yeah, I would as well.
He never knew when it was going to come because I would just be like, throughout the whole semester, I would just randomly, like, even just like slide it over his shoulder until it like came into view. I'm like, and he would take it. Good. But that's that just little scene with Floyd, and they were Russians, right?
I think they were attempting to be Russians. So in that, the main man, I have lost his name
because obviously like Floyd's an American, and
correct,
because he's the main character in 2010, and they have Roy Scheider play him in the film because it's like, oh no, we gotta like up our game. We need to get like an actual name down.
We got to get a name on this
Because, like, to be frank, there's no named actors really in this movie because that's
Well,
not
this
the
is
point.
no, this is what I was going to say about the Russian gentleman. I'm just trying to bring up his name.
It's Leonard Rossiter.
Yeah, so he is a big name in England.
Okay.
He did a lot of comedy shows and comedy sitcoms.
Interesting.
So for me to watch him in this be a very serious Russian, I couldn't unsee him being the stupid character that he is in a show called Rising Down. And he will do funny accents in that show. So I thought, is this going to be a reveal that this is actually a comedy and that he's going to come out and be English? So he's definitely an English man trying to do a Russian accent, I think, because it's trying to reflect that there's still tensions between America and Russia, even at this stage.
Yeah, because like last week on this my show before this for Doctor Strangelove, obviously Kubrick is big on the Cold War.
Yeah.
But what Rossiter was also in, he will also be in after this Barry Lyndon.
Oh, interesting.
And he has a very memorable role at the beginning of the film in like the first act of it. And he's just this pompous captain. And
yeah, that sounds true to form.
Yeah, and he's great. He does such a great job in it, and it's the little things, because like the same actor who plays Grady, the gamekeeper in The Shining, has a tiny role in Barry Lyndon, and he's Alex's dad in A Clockwork Orange.
Oh, amazing!
So like Kubrick might not have tons of like big name people in his films, but
he has his people.
Those character actors pop up in things.
Yeah.
And then you have films like The Shining and Barry Lyndon that had Ryan O'Neal and Jack Nicholson in them. But, you know.
Yeah.
But this conversation is so interesting because you see Floyd, like Floyd's a pretty stern guy. Like even him interacting with his daughter isn't.
It's very
like,
businesslike, isn't it? Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
We have 90 seconds for this conversation, and that's all I've got you booked in for, essentially.
Okay, honey. Enjoy your birthday. And but
enjoy your party as well.
Enjoy your party. But there is a point in this conversation where that tone changes and there's something intense and foreboding about it. And you can tell that characters are like,
oh, this is awkward.
Yes. And Floyd's just dropping it down, throwing that gauntlet down at them, and they back off because like he's not going to tell them anything. But
he doesn't even sit up straight. He is still
like, the whole entire time he's like sitting back like,
I can't talk about that. Next, how's the weather?
And that's the thing, because it's the human interactions are not the biggest part of this film, obviously, because to be frank, there's not a whole lot of them.
No, there's not. There's not a lot of script in this in terms of dialogue.
No. And that is I think that's one of the most, the second most compelling interaction in the whole movie, because obviously the most compelling one is open the pod bay doors, Hal.
Yeah. Or anything with Hal.
Like, I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. And it's just like, no, stop with your creepy voice.
No, not right now.
And it's
the desperation in his voice when Hal has decided, very much like Floyd, that this conversation is over and it can't go anywhere. But he just carries on. It's like, Hal, let me in. Let me in, Hal. Hal, let me in. Let me in. Let me in.
Well, and when his brain's going, when Dave is shutting him down, is disturbing.
Oh, man. How do you go from Hal that has killed people? Oh, sorry. Well, killed people.
Yeah.
And you want him to fail, to then feeling sorry for him. Like, I think he would have convinced me to not switch him off. And I was like, right, Hal, are you going to behave? Are you going to do what you're told now? I was like, yeah, I promise I will.
I promise, Dave. And I think it's so haunting because like the one line where you start to realize something's not right is when it's like, it's obviously human error. And
that's the one.
And it's just like, Hal has some problems here. And
That's arrogance on another level. Like, there is not a single possible chance it's me that's the problem. It's definitely a you problem.
And you know who the yous are going to be?
Yeah.
Us.
Yeah.
And just like, well, he's going to murder them. They're all going to die.
This guy never read Asimov.
Just like, and it's such perfect voice casting, such a perfect cadence and choice to make that voice that way. And they, which is funny because I have a little setup in my room right across from me, and I have a HAL 9000 Christmas ornament. You just keep hitting the button, just HAL staring at me across the room.
But hey, we all have a HAL staring at us at some point nowadays.
Yep. That red eye is such a great, there's so many great choices to pull this film together, because the combination of that calm voice and that red eye is something else.
The unblinking red eye. And it's not even necessarily pitched so much as an eye as just a red computer light. Yeah. Occasionally you go behind it and see it from his point of view, but it's unblinking. It has no iris. It shouldn't take on any kind of human form. It's just a black rectangle with a red eye on it, but somehow it has a personality.
Oh, and because like this isn't a horror film, but like that sequence in the film is terrifying, and the dread that overcomes you when they shoot, because like they're sitting in the pod planning to shut Hal down, and when that camera flips and you can see, and the film doesn't need to tell you he's reading their lips.
No, you can already guess that.
Just hones in on their lips, and it's just like, no, he knows what's happening.
I've got to say, that's the only bit that took me out of the movie slightly, because the way that they're sat is very artificial. When the entire film is very casual and realistic, the way that they're sat in view of the porthole and then in view of Hal, it does telegraph that Hal is watching them. But I get the choice. I get it.
Kubrick needs symmetry.
Yes, you're absolutely right. He absolutely does.
Well before Wes Anderson went like full-blown symmetry.
Yeah.
Stanley, like watching The Shining, it's like, I feel like that's what makes Kubrick films so unnerving in so many ways, and especially The Shining and this is symmetry is not really natural.
It's not in nature. No, you don't find symmetry.
And that's why it feels so, and like, I know people criticize his films for being feeling artificial, but there's an atmosphere he's going for, and it's unnerving. Yeah. And
absolutely.
Boy, does it work in The Shining, because that movie just from start to finish is just one long unnerving experience.
Yeah, it's just one long panic attack.
Yeah. But it's interesting because like I always like to ask what everybody's favorite sequence is, because mine is the Dawn of Man.
Yes.
And what I love so much about it is it's filmmaking in its purest form. There's no dialogue. There's no text. Which I love how they lampoon it in History of the World Part 1 with Orson Welles doing the narration over it in Mel Brooks's film. But this doesn't have anything. All you get is the bum, 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 bum. And the fact that there was going to be a score, and then they put in this classical music as like space holders, and just realized, nope, this
works.
Yep.
It's the definition of a space opera.
Yes, and it feels that way. And that light coming up, and obviously they look like men in suits.
Yeah, they are men in suits. Yeah, there is one baby chimp in there being held, but it is being held by a man in a monkey suit. Yeah.
And like they have actual tapirs and leopards and stuff like that, which adds some like realism to it. But like they act really, really well.
Oh, agreed. Absolutely.
And they don't have to say a thing. And I don't know, one of the most unnerving experiences watching a film ever is when you hear that music, the And for the first time, and that monolith's just sitting there, you're just like,
yeah.
what the F?
What is going on? Like, you've just sat through like 3 minutes of a black screen with just music,
Yep.
then an MGM logo randomly appearing, then what looks like a David Attenborough documentary, and then bam, you're in a sci-fi movie out of nowhere. This monolith does not belong. And I've never been able to relate to a monkey more than I did in that second, because I am that monkey banging on the monolith, just going, no, go away, get out of my movie. This isn't what I've spent the last 7 minutes watching.
And it's the little choices, because like obviously they're all like throwing stuff at it, like spinning around. But the second where it has that realization that
little tap
starts touching it, and then they all start touching. It's like, no, don't do it. You don't know what this is. And
don't lick it.
And the fact that and it cuts to you have the bone, swing it back and forth. Like, what if I swung this? And like the beating of the tapir to death, and then the watering hole. And they're all like hunched up a bit more now. I'm like getting Caesar over here. And that thud, that bone on head. And you're just like, well, humanity has been born, people.
Yeah, this is us. And the monkey just twitches on the ground. And I think it's absolutely fascinating, because obviously I think it's pretty much well accepted that the monolith advances humanity, and it teaches the chimp, whatever it is, to use a tool. It doesn't necessarily teach it to use it as a weapon. Like, that tool could have been used to make fire, building.
Our choice.
That was on us. We chose to beat the other monkey over the head with it. And I like to picture that whatever the aliens are looking down, and they go, yes, it worked. No, don't do that.
They're like, oh,
damn it.
You're just like,
they were meant to make pencils and write literature, but damn it. On to the next planet. Let's try again. Let's try it with the Vulcans.
One of the most amazing edits in the history of film, when that tool gets turned into our tools, and it just turns into that spaceship, and then you're just
so
like,
good.
Whoa.
Yep.
And of course, then Jupiter and beyond the infinite. Because what do you even say? Like, what we gather from it, and also having read the book, it's like, we go into a wormhole.
Yeah.
And it's all of like, the fact like is trippy as hell. So trippy. The negative footage of whatever land masses it's going over.
Monument Valley, apparently.
Yeah. And it's just like, this is not how I saw this in my John Wayne movie.
Nope.
He just took a whole bunch of shots from a John Ford film and just like, negative.
Yep. Flip them and negative.
And the eerie shots of it cutting back to Dave and him.
Just for a split second, like his face contorted in different, it's freaky as heck.
And then, of course, this random apartment on the other side of existence.
Yeah.
And it's so profoundly just like, yup, you're in it now.
Yeah, whatever it is.
And him slowly dying and losing his humanity and being reborn as the Star Child.
That transition for me is beautifully subtle. The way you've got Bowman not even exiting the shuttle. It's Bowman in the shuttle and then standing, perceiving his older self. You move to his older self, who then can't see his younger self. You then see his older self again, who then can't see his younger self. That transition through the rest of his life is, you couldn't even write down how to film that. It's just, trust me, this is how we're going to do it, because it's so subtle.
And there's no like big musical, what? kind of
bum, bum, bum.
Like, you know, if this movie was made today, there'd be like score like booming at each of those turns. It'd be like, you shocked now? But no.
Well, if Christopher Nolan made it, it would have been an immediate whoa, just bass with each turn.
Yep. And because basically he didn't remake 2001: A Space Odyssey, but he did take as much things that he loves about 2001: A Space Odyssey and throw it into Interstellar.
I was about to, my next note was, this final scene still makes a damn sight more sense than Interstellar does.
String theory.
No.
Because the thing is, like, Interstellar tries to explain it. Kubrick's just like, just leave it be.
Just leave it be. Fine. Just leave them in the backwards library. It's fine.
You're watching a movie where the spaceship is shaped like a giant sperm.
Yep.
It's flying to a giant black void.
Uterus. Yep. Sorry, void.
In space. And then a giant space baby comes out at the end. And you're just like, yep, that's exactly what happens in this movie.
Space baby now in orbit around Earth. Yep. Okay, good. This is in the real world. Nice. Good.
And like that one last moment. Oh, it's such a beautiful shot, too, of Bowman in his bed, on his deathbed. And then all of a sudden, the monolith's there. And then it cuts back and he's this star child. And then that shot of just like going straight into the monolith, and then we're back into space. It's
so good.
It's just, this is what I love so much about this film is this is what filmmaking is as a medium.
It's a visual medium. It doesn't, if you need a ton of script and explanation, you're reading a book. So yeah, I totally agree with that. It's a visual medium first and foremost.
And that's the thing too, because this film is bold enough to just go there.
Yes, absolutely.
And, like, I completely understand, as like, obviously I love this film so much, but I completely understand why this wouldn't work for most people.
Yeah, it's probably the film I like the most that I have to apologize for the most. So there are some objectively bad movies that I like that I was like, I'm really sorry, but I like it. This, I know it's a good movie, but I still have to apologize. Like, going in, this is going to be a choice. Like, this is, if you're not into it in the first 15 minutes, you're not going to be. So I'm going to save you 2 hours and 5.
Well, because the thing is, it's like, there's certain films where it's like, my favorite films of all time are Lord of the Rings. I'll recommend Lord of the Rings to everybody. It's just like, sit through.
That's easy. Just watch them. Yeah.
Is 2 hours of just straight adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
This is a hard film to recommend. Unless you're
really is.
Unless you're talking.
Unless you're with that person, exactly, and you're kind of sharing the experience and explaining a few bits along the way.
And you are recommending this to an actual cinephile who you know will appreciate all of these things. Like, I'm not going to...
And the odds are they've already seen it if that's the case.
Yeah. And it's just like, I'm not going to go to, like... Before COVID, I would pretty regularly take my mom to see movies.
Yeah.
That was the thing that we would do. I took her to go see Call of the Wild. She wanted to see her Harrison Ford.
Yeah. That's fair.
I took her to see Hobbs and Shaw the summer before.
Nice.
Because she wanted her Jason Statham.
Yeah.
She loved Bruce Willis. She loved Jason Statham, Tom Selleck, Harrison Ford. If they're in something, he's in.
He's going to go watch it.
She has invited herself to some movies because I was going alone.
Yeah.
She invited herself to Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Oh, no.
Yorgos Lanthimos films are not, I take my mother to go see movies. 2000, like, Kubrick movies are probably not things I'm going to sit down and watch with my mom.
No.
Especially Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah, definitely not that. Let's steer clear of that.
Yeah.
But interestingly, like, my dad he has this experience with me. So he has tried, or he did try, to get me to watch this film. And I remember 5 distinct occasions before the age of 20 where we sat down and I was like, either like the first 3 times it would be him saying, we're going to watch this film. You may not understand it, but we're going to watch it. And when I came back from university, I would then say, Dad, we're going to sit down and we're going to watch this film. And it lost me every single time. And it's not until my mid-20s that I finally watched it start to finish as not an idiot child, but like actually as somebody that's seen a little bit more of the world and thought, you know what, let's just accept it for what it is. And then you appreciate it. But it can take a few laps. And I think you've got to be at a certain point and at a certain perhaps level of maturity to get through it and watch it. And that's not what cinema is for the majority of people, I think.
Yeah. I remember the first time I ever watched this, I bought a Turner Classic Movies 4-pack. Because like they have tons of those.
Yeah.
And this one was a science fiction one. And I bought it because it had 2001: A Space Odyssey.
And I bet it had Westworld in it as well.
It did not. But that was
Did it not?
So the other,
I'd have bet money on that.
It had Forbidden Planet.
Oh, yeah.
The original Time Machine with Rod Taylor.
Oh, wow, that's good. That thing's more like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang than it is a sci-fi film.
And steampunk. Where's Dick Van Dyke?
Yeah, exactly.
As long as he's not doing any more British accents.
Nope.
And then
Poor blimey, Gov.
Soylent Green was the last one.
Oh, wow.
Soylent
that is a
Green
mix.
is people. Charlton Heston knows how to deliver a final line to a movie.
He really does. Like, that's one of my go-to favorites at Cinemasins. At the end of the video, we'll do an outtake section where we'll dub something over a bit of the film. And Soylent Green is people is such a good go-to because it fits with any angry character anywhere.
You maniacs! You blew it up! Damn you all to hell! And like, there's very few actors that could get away with
being that over the top.
That, and Charlton Heston was 100% one of them. And
absolutely,
being an Archer fan, every time they have Krieger do that, I'm just like, yes.
Yeah.
Thank
perfect.
you.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yep. But I remember watching this for the first time. I was sitting in my dorm room. In my freshman year, I propped the door all the time because I wanted to meet people. Because before college, I had no friends and I said 10 sentences a day. So,
oh man, yep, I can feel that pain.
And I'm like, I want to meet people. And I remember my friend Ed wandering in halfway through this movie.
What are you watching?
Jupiter Beyond the Infinite started.
Oh no.
And he sat down and was like, what am I watching?
I love it.
Sat in awe because I had never seen it before. I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
Is this?
Let's get the shrooms. What's going on?
And the thing is, like, I am completely sober of like, I don't do anything. I don't even drink alcohol. Completely sober Shane watching this for the first time.
Yeah.
Like 19 years old, just being like, is this what drugs are like?
Yeah. It must be.
It has to be, right?
And that kind of made you, that's why you're still sober today, because it's like, if it is, I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want to be a star child.
If I want to feel this way, I'll throw in 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yep. I'm just going to watch this again.
Or SpongeBob's Sponge Out of Water, whenever they kept.
Oh, yep. When
they do the jump through time and space, it's 100% referencing that. I'm just like, yep, here we go again. Except this didn't have a porpoise. Voiced by Matthew Barry at the end of time.
Oh, I thought you were just being funny and saying it didn't have a porpoise as in purpose.
No, like Sponge Out of Water had a porpoise named Bubbles in the middle of space.
Why not?
Space porpoise. It's so interesting how much this has had an impact on pop culture. And it just permeates everything. And if you're making a high concept science fiction film, that's not like, it's not Star Wars. This isn't a Marvel movie. Like, there's no action here. This is just pure, just intellectual science fiction.
It is, 100%. The trailer for this is really unfair because the trailer focuses so much on the HAL 9000 stuff and the betrayal and all of that. If you watch that trailer and then watch this film, you're like, what did you lied to me, trailer.
I wonder if people are as upset about this as they were about the Masters of the Universe Revelations trailer that
Oh,
everybody's
perhaps.
flipping out about. Because
Yeah, they're going crazy.
that's the trailer everybody's mad about now. But I imagine you sitting there going into 2001: Space Odyssey and you just see a bunch of men in ape suits and just
Yeah.
being,
Am
was
I in War of the
this being
Worlds?
about crazy robots like killing
Where's that
people?
red-eyed robot? Yeah.
And you're just like,
I thought this was in space. And then as soon as you get to the space stuff, it's a very nice conversation between an American man and some Russians.
yeah, it's just like, I was
Okay.
promised death. Where's death
Yes.
happening here?
I wanted a Terminator film that hasn't come out yet.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too. Like even like Wally, when I watched that for the first time and saw Otto, and I'm just like, yes,
Yeah.
yep. Somebody watched 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Heck yeah.
Yep. And they're like, this is one of the purest pieces of visual medium that's possibly out there. And,
Yeah.
you just had a pure cinematic genius, Stanley Kubrick, put it all together. So, it's going to turn out.
He's just, yeah, he was just given $20 million to do whatever the heck he wanted with. $20 million in 1968, which is $1 trillion today.
Yep.
Like that's an insane amount of money to just be let free. And but I still think he got his money's worth. Like the stuff he designed, obviously it's not all from him, there's an entire team behind it, but the space station, the moon base that opens up, all of the design is so consistent and just real. It's obviously not CGI because that wasn't a thing, but it's all built by hand. It's just stunning.
The camera tricks of like the looking like you're running on the ceiling.
Yes, or the waitress that just walks up and all he's doing is she's in a hamster wheel and he's turning the camera the other way. It's such an easy trick, but
nobody thought about these things first, and he's just like,
no. This could work.
Stroking his like giant mat and just being like, I have this.
Yeah, I got anti-gravity nailed.
Yep. And it's in hindsight, it's so simple, but it was so revolutionary at the time. And this is one of those films where it's like you look back at the Oscars and you just realize this movie was way beyond.
Oh, it's super beyond. I mean, the Oscars don't get it a lot of the time. It was never going to get this.
This film was way, way too ahead of its time in 1968 when thinking about all of because obviously I was born in 1991. So when did this film hit? Like, when did this film really capture people's imagination and just be like, this is one of the greatest science fiction films ever made? Because it definitely wasn't 1968.
No, it could. I mean, it was. I did a little bit of research into the background of it, and it was popular. It split critics, but people went back to the cinema over and over and over again to watch it and try and understand it a bit more. But yeah, I was born in 1990. And it's been there as long as I've known it. I know it was something my dad is a hardcore sci-fi man, but he's not one to debate it and go into the finer points. He just appreciates anything in space. You stick it in space and he'll watch it. So it's always been around in my life. I don't know, maybe it's got to be, I would probably imagine when home television became a bigger thing. So buying things on VHS and on DVD, when you get the home viewings and you can really watch it again and again and again, that's where a lot of films came to life and got second wind, I think.
Mm-hmm. And I'm looking over at my 2001 4K steelbook that I have on my little stand over here, and just rewatching this weekend on that. Chef's kiss.
Beautiful.
I need to watch this in the theater at some point.
Oh, agreed. It's got to happen.
And I'm gonna love every second of it. Every second.
Every second of the 2 hours 20. One of in fact, no, my single greatest cinema achievement slash memory is watching Back to the Future on its 25th, 25th anniversary. So it must have been 2010. That sounds right.
I think I went to the 30th.
It might have been the 30th.
Because I went.
No, it was the 30th.
I think I went 2015 or somewhere around there, because I remember going to the Cinemark near me with my girlfriend, now fiance Jess, and my friend Kevin, who's a huge Back to the Future fan. And some guy had his RCA skateboard, and just was decked out.
Amazing.
Like, this guy right here.
Oh, let me just quickly have a quick reach.
There we go.
Went to see it back in the day. But yeah, that is seeing that. Knowing that I missed it. I wasn't born the first time round, so I couldn't have missed it. But missing out on that opportunity. Damn it, Mum and Dad! Why didn't you have the foresight to have me earlier so I could have seen this at the cinema? But that watching your all-time favorite movie at the cinema is just something special. It's something else.
Well, and here's a fun story about my experience watching Fellowship of the Ring for the first time, because I saw it when I was 10 years old when that came out.
Yeah, same.
My aunt didn't check the runtime.
Oh no.
And she took me out of the theater for I had a basketball game, because I played basketball at that point. Right when Frodo got stabbed by the king troll, and I'm like, but what happened? And
he's dead?
I found out in school that I missed a whole hour. And when my classmate was describing a giant fire demon with a sword and a whip, I'm like,
you shall not pass. Oh my goodness. Your aunt's the worst. I'm sure she's lovely, but she's the worst.
Oh, because I saw Phantom Menace with her and her older guy friend, and they both fell asleep. And I'm just sitting there watching Phantom Menace as like an 8-year-old being like,
Star Wars in the cinema. And I'm a big apologist for that film. I really like the Phantom Menace.
It's the acting. Did George Lucas be like, act like Wood, all of you? Yeah,
all of you. Like, act as English and stuffy as you possibly can. Yeah.
Samuel Jackson didn't even have. Like, it wasn't until like Attack of the Clones where he's like, I don't think so. And I'm just like, there he is. There's a Samuel Jackson. And
you just want him to be like, lightsaber, mother effer.
Yeah. And then in the Revenge of the Sith, where he's just like, a Sith Lord? And I'm like, there he is.
There he is. There's a little peek of him.
There's a little peek of him. But seeing the Lord of the Rings films in theaters and Fury Road when that came out, and my whole
that's special.
Because that's just like bombast to the max.
Completely. Just audio out the window.
And it's just like, make Hans Zimmer blush. How like,
oh damn, that's a score.
Yeah, which is funny because Junkie XL works very closely with Hans Zimmer, so I don't know where he got that from.
I wonder.
But in terms of, I guess, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Ian, do you have any final thoughts, things that you wanted to throw out there?
Oh man, let me just pull up my notes real quick. I think we covered off pretty much everything. Kubrick doesn't care in your attention span. Takes that one off. Boy, does this film like classical songs. It feels like every scene needs a round of applause. Like whenever like you've got the music and then something lands, it's like, yay, well done. Yay,
Shia LaBeouf watching his own.
Yeah. And even like the opening where the music, the bum bum, a film by Stanley Kubrick. It's kind of like, all right, we get it. You're kind of a big deal. Like that's definitely him quite literally blowing his own horn.
Yep.
I love that this is just another group of monkeys staring at the obelisk when they get to the moon. they're poking it. Nothing has changed. You're just another group of monkeys. Yeah, no, I think that's it. I think the only thing we haven't touched on too much was actually HAL 9000 itself, and just the conversation that the BBC 12 made me laugh. Like, that's the definition of the future, was BBC 12, and how that news anchor is trying to get around the fascination that HAL is a person that can think, and then wrestling with, does he have feelings? Can he go wrong? That entire conversation about artificial intelligence that's not 1968. That's way beyond. We don't even have telephones, like as in mobile telephones. How are you talking about AI? It absolutely blows my mind.
Computers were the size of a room then.
Yeah, exactly. It took the entire state, like a computer the size of Utah, to get the flipping Apollo into the atmosphere. Like, we're not talking about AI. So the way that's handled, and you're immediately questioning, does Hal feel, or has he just been programmed to do something that he doesn't understand how to do? Like he's being programmed to make a mistake, or programmed to hide something from Bowman and Paul. And he's got to reconcile that. And did that break him, or is he just following orders? So I don't know. Hal's painted as the villain, but once again, it's human error. Like, Hal is just the bone. Like the alien monolith may have given us the technology to create Hal, but we chose to turn him into a weapon.
Yep. And then he made Skynet. And and that's how this all happened.
And they go back to the past and give birth to Kubrick, and then he makes the film, and we're back to square one.
Yep, and he scared all of us away, but he did not, because we're still going there.
We're still trying.
People. But in terms of, those are our thoughts on 2001: Space Odyssey, which you could literally talk for days.
This could go on until, for weeks and weeks and weeks.
To the end of time. Yeah. But to wrap things up into our last segment is recommendations. So, Ian, what's a film that you want to recommend to everybody?
Man, I'm going to, you remember earlier when I said that I like films that I have to apologize for liking. I'm going to pick a really bad film.
Okay.
And it's The Ice Road.
I also watched The Ice Road.
What do you think of The Ice Road? Be honest.
It's Liam Neeson. At least I get my Liam Neesons.
Yep.
If you wanted Larry Fishburne too, don't get too excited.
Nope. But he's good for what he does.
Yeah, he's good for the 15 minutes that he's in the movie.
Yep. But he sells it. I believe that he is the head of an ice road trucking company.
Well, that's the thing. Like, no matter what quality of film they put Liam Neeson in, he's believable as his character.
He elevates it.
Because Liam Neeson's a great actor. Like, this is a man
who's just fantastic.
Like, come on.
This is I will unapologetically watch every movie he puts out. And I tweeted, like, he puts out 14 movies a year, one of which is probably watchable. But I will watch all of them. So I watched An Honest Thief, which came out earlier this year. And that is I did not like that film. It was perfectly average, but it could have done so much more. And I'm expecting too much. I'm wanting every film to be taken, and I'm never reaching that high again.
Like, I watched The Marksman, and it's just like, this movie felt like it was written 25 years ago for Clint Eastwood.
Yes.
And then they're like, well, Clint's 90 now. So
what's the closest thing we have at the minute?
Liam Neeson.
Let's go. Let's do it.
And to be
for some reason, no, go on.
I was just gonna say, it's like, perfectly honest, I would have loved to see the Clint Eastwood directed, starring The Marksman 25 years ago. I would have seen.
Perfect. I'd have watched that. But I don't know. Yeah, Liam Neeson elevates every film, and of all of them, The Ice Road for some reason was silly enough, dumb enough, but sincere enough to really get me. Like, I think what sold me immediately was that obviously so that the brief premise is that he's an ice road trucker and his younger brother has severe PTSD, which has caused some kind of mental aphasia, which means that he can't associate words with the right thing and he has problems communicating. Now, Liam Neeson blames his brother for losing them jobs, but it's not. Whoever he's working with ends up offending his younger brother and calling him all sorts of names. And Liam Neeson just knocks him out. I was like, no, you're the reason that you're losing jobs. And that dynamic and the fact that he can't see past that and how sincere he is about protecting his brother, I bought into that. I bought into those characters and that dynamic immediately. The rest of the film is dumb as nails, but it's an entertaining watch. You're going to predict the bad guy. You will 100% predict the bad guy.
The second Benjamin Walker came on the screen, I'm like,
that's your man. Arrest him now.
This is a company man coming along for the ride. I'm like, I've seen Aliens. I've seen like 50 other movies.
Yeah.
Okay, Paul Reiser.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Burke. Take your seat.
Yep. I see this coming. And what was so funny about it, though, is because Benjamin Walker is, I remember when he was in Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, and everyone's like, looks like Liam Neeson, except like a young guy. And when he showed up in the same movie as Liam Neeson, I'm like,
oh my God.
They had to do this on purpose, right?
They must have done.
They had to be like, let's turn this meme into a real thing.
Let's do it.
But
why not? And if you're going to do it, do it in a Liam Neeson film.
Yeah. There some of the Liam Neeson movies, like Unknown, I think just went way out there. Like that.
Yeah, I respect what Unknown was trying to do.
Yes.
But I did not like it because that was hot off of Taken or Taken 2. And I was ready to see Liam Neeson do some stuff again. Now, he is the same character as he is in, he's Brian. He's exactly the same, but he doesn't remember.
Exactly.
And you only get the film that you want in the last 10 minutes. That's when it suddenly kicks in and he Jason Bournes everybody. Yep. I'm like, where was this movie for the last 90 minutes? This is what I came here for. The rest of it is, oh, I'm stuck on a train and I forgot everything.
I feel bad because like now everything's like this Taken.
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah.
And The Grey is so much more than that.
I love The Grey so much.
It's such an amazing survival drama with really deep themes about faith and everything. Yes. I'm just like, everyone just thinks this is Taken with wolves, and it's terrible.
And but that's it. So this is Taken on ice. Everyone needs to stop doing that. I would rather watch The Grey over The Revenant, and they're essentially the same film. But I would take The Grey every single day. I love it.
I feel like they tortured the characters in The Grey a lot less than
that's fair.
But Glass, because that was one of my biggest things against The Revenant is like after a while, how many things can you possibly do to this man before this movie just feels mean-spirited? Yeah,
this is just now Saw, basically. How much do you want that Oscar? I think, and that's the difference. The Grey wasn't going for an Oscar. The Revenant was just like, we're going to get there, and damn it, it may kill you, Leo.
And Liam Neeson should have got some recognition because that's an amazing performance. Like when he's like cursing out God at the end of this, like
so good.
Wait a minute, this is supposed to be an action movie with wolves. I'm not like feeling right now.
I'm feeling things. That's odd. What are you doing?
And like Walk Among the Tombstones is not just another Taken movie. It's like an actual crime drama. And it's just like, that's the thing. And of course, Liam Neeson has his fun things too. Like in the Lego movie, Good Cop, Bad Cop. So he's like, how about I get you a glass of water, buddy? Too bad. Talking away, I'm just like, Liam Neeson's having so much fun right now. And
he is
every second of it.
I don't think he takes himself seriously at all. I think he has no bars and no like kind of airs and graces. He's just like, yep, I'll do that. And I'm gonna sell it.
Yeah. And then you still have things like with him and she played the sister in Phantom Thread. It's bothering me. I'm looking it up. Fact check
You
shade.
getting it?
Because I love this film, and like it's just a straight drama that came out. Ordinary Love with Leslie Manville, and the two of them. It's such a great film, and it's just like everybody's just expecting another Taken type movie. And I even just saw Cold Pursuit. That was so much more entertaining than I thought that movie was going to be. And
I like Ice Road more than that, but even that, it was still like that was really heartfelt. Like the struggle that his son is going through in that film is real.
Yeah. So, as you can tell, we both like Liam Neeson movies.
We love Liam Neeson. We need a separate podcast just about Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson's, though. Neeson. So generally what I do is I give a recommendation of a new film that I watched recently and of normally a movie that I've watched off of my increasingly long watch list. That isn't a new film. I actually haven't gotten around to one. I've gotten a whole bunch of screeners in the past week. I'm like, been watching all of them. But I will bring up Aliens because I did rewatch it to write my article. And if you haven't seen Aliens and you're especially...
What are you doing?
Especially like an action fan, you're missing out on one of the greatest action movies ever made.
Yeah.
And it still delivers on the horror because there's still moments in that film that are scary. It's not
100%.
It's not like Alien where Ridley Scott was doing something special with that film. And then James Cameron's just like,
gotta pump it up. You got those are rookie numbers.
Yep. It's like, I know how to make a sequel. Cue T2 Judgment Day. And Aliens.
Yeah, and this is it.
Taking what many people compare to like Vietnam, like a Vietnam allegory. I don't know if James Cameron was actually going for that, but you could really read into that for Aliens because it's all these big macho, like we're going to take them down. And then, nope, you're completely out of your element.
You are not on home turf. You are absolutely on the Aliens ground. It's much more a Predator film than it is an Alien film. So if you like Predator, this is the allegory in the Alien universe.
It's the exact, it's more or less the same basic idea of a bunch of macho, because like I love Predator so much.
I love that film so much.
The first third of that movie is like the most perfect 80s action movie ever.
Yes. And testosterone everywhere.
It's like, I ain't got time to bleed. Jesse the Body Ventura.
Yep.
And all the other Arnold memes like, Dylan, you son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch.
Always got the CIA having you pushing too many pencils. And just like that
the
whole
most
thing.
Manliest mid-air arm wrestle ever to manly mid-air arm wrestle ever.
John McTiernan knew exactly what he was doing, and then he flips it on a dime. And
it changes genre almost.
Yep. And then it's a real horror movie because they are completely out of their element. And that's Aliens. And the introduction of the Queen, which is an amazing technical feat. Like,
it's gorgeous. That exists. It's a real thing.
It's a puppet.
Not CGI.
It is a giant puppet. And the subversion of Bishop in terms of like, it's always has that tension. Is he going to screw?
You're always waiting. Yeah. You're waiting for him to turn.
And then Paul Reiser is like the trope before the trope.
Yeah.
Such a thing. Because, now every movie where you have a government man and a corporate guy showing up on something.
It's him.
That guy. They're the human antagonist. That's happening.
Yeah.
And Sigourney Weaver was nominated for an Oscar for Best Actress in a sci-fi horror action movie.
Yeah.
It's on a whole other level.
It's great. It's so good. Game over, man. Game over. If you don't know where that comes from, it comes from Aliens.
Bill Paxton was a treasure.
Absolutely. He sells that. He sells every single line in that film.
And he's such an oaf. He's such an oaf, but like you've learned to love him a little bit as that movie goes on. And then
we just got our asses kicked. Shut up.
Michael Biehn, who what happened in the mid-90s that he just disappeared?
Something happened to him pretty bad. I think he must have pissed off James Cameron, and James Cameron buried him because He was giving him all the work.
Because Terminator,
Yeah.
Aliens, Tombstone, like
Yeah.
you were all riding high, and then he popped up in The Mandalorian in season 2, and I'm just like, Michael Bihn's alive,
He's still alive.
and he's in this. And that was so cool seeing him, and I'm so mad that we didn't get Blomkamp's Alien sequel that would have brought.
That could have been glorious. That is the sequel we want. That could have been phenomenal.
Except
I don't know.
We're just gonna get Prometheus movies as long as Ridley Scott keeps making them.
Well, you get one Prometheus movie, and now we're going to have 7 films explaining Prometheus, because that's all Covenant tried. I like Covenant, but it spends half of its runtime apologizing for its predecessor.
Basically, it's just like, but we got Michael Fassbender.
Yeah.
Nice.
Pay attention to him. He saves it. Yeah, he does, but stop sinking your own shit.
You'll play the flute. I'll do the fingering. That
was uncomfortable.
So, Aliens.
Watch it. And then go and listen to an Englishman and an Irishman go to the movies. Talk about aliens.
And my new movie I want to recommend, which I just watched yesterday, was Batman The Long Halloween Part 2.
I have been recommended this, that series, that thing, a lot. So yeah, I need to add that to my list.
I read the graphic novel sometime last year from Jeff Loeb. And basically, this is like, you want every single Batman villain possible in one story. Here's a Long Halloween. And you want a mob movie thrown in? Here's a Long Halloween.
Nice.
And like Josh Duhamel plays Harvey Dent in this, and like he really shines in this because like it's a big Harvey Dent story. And like Jensen Ackles is Bruce Wayne Batman in this, which I thought was an interesting choice. Like
interesting.
Like you have Joker, you have Scarecrow, Poison Ivy, the Mad Hatter, Penguin, Solomon Grundy. I never thought I'd get as much enjoyment hearing Solomon Grundy was born on a Monday. And I'm just like over and over and over again. I'm just like, yep.
This doesn't get old.
Yep. And there's other people in it too. And then you have the whole Falcone and Maroni mob.
Oh, wow. They go all into that as well. Brilliant.
Yeah. There's a lot of Italian people in this movie. And as an Italian American, I'm just like, yes.
Hey, I appreciate that.
We got Batman Godfather going on over here.
Nice.
And like Harvey Dent trying to take down organized crime. And then Batman's just being distracted by all these random rogues gallery villains just popping up, getting all up in his business. He's like,
oh, you're here too.
Solve these murders that keep happening on all of these holidays. And then Joker shows up. And then Poison Ivy seduces him. And then Scarecrow has to escape from Arkham and cause a muck.
Good Lord.
All he wants to do is...
What's the runtime?
So if you watch both of them combined, it's 3 hours.
Okay.
To be honest, it could have been one movie trimmed down. There's definitely some fat here. But the thing is, what makes more money than one movie? Two movies.
Let's definitely Hallows this business and get some more money out of it.
100%. I might wait to buy the Blu-ray until they do what they did with The Dark Knight Returns and just sell it as one movie.
And you know they will. And that's always the giveaway. It's, are you sure this was meant to be 2 movies? Because you were pretty quick to edit it into one.
Yeah, it could easily just be 1 3-hour movie. And I like Batman enough where I'm just like, I will sit here for 3 hours and watch it. I watched
definitely.
Dark Knight Rises. That was close enough.
Yeah.
So
that'll do it.
So, but
I mean, it's been interesting that they didn't bring Kevin Conroy in for this.
They've been, because up here I have, let's see, I have The Dark Knight Returns with Peter Weller as Batman, which RoboCop is Batman. So great.
Yeah, I like that.
Gotham by Gaslight, which is like the Jack the Ripper kind of Batman movie, which is an interesting choice. The Killing Joke, which if they would have just left it the story in the book and I didn't need to see Batgirl and Batman doing it, like that wasn't necessary.
Yeah, didn't need that.
Batman Under the Red Hood, Mask of the Phantasm, Year One, the Return of the Joker, which is the Batman Beyond one, because I watched that show so much as a kid.
I love that show.
It's long past, but I wanted Batman Beyond with Clint Eastwood as old man Bruce Wayne.
Man, that would have been perfect.
Unless you make this as like he's 90, which I'll still take it.
That's fine. He can't do any action other than hit somebody on the head with a walking cane, but I'll take it. That's fine.
Oh, they definitely edited around that in The Mule.
Yes.
Because you're led to believe that he murdered 2 men. And I'm like,
Really? What was the one he did before that, the Get Off My Lawn film?
Gran Torino.
Gran Torino, yes.
Crazy? That was 13 years old. He was in his 70s then.
Good Lord, there's no way that film's... Never mind.
And he is having his next film, Cry Macho, come out in September that he directed and starred in.
That man just keeps working. He's great. Him and Michael Caine just keep going.
He is the most efficient director in the history of cinema. For better, for worse, he's the most efficient filmmaker in the history of cinema. Like, dude, sometimes a second take will help.
Yeah, it'll do something for you.
Sometimes waiting for a real baby will help a scene. Cue American Sniper.
Yeah, that takes you right out of the film, doesn't it?
Yep.
That's not even close.
He didn't want to delay one day because that's Clint. And that's why Warner Brothers will make anything that he directs because he comes in under budget and on time. And they can.
I got to get to my brunch at 12 o'clock. I can't be dealing with this baby nonsense.
Well, go ahead. And apparently he's like to work for. Apparently he's the chillest dude.
Well, I bet.
And
you clock out like 2 hours early every day.
Yeah, he apparently just like he sits down, like, go ahead, and like that's how you go with the
some acting.
Well, and that's the thing because he is not like actors love working for him, but he's not the kind of director that you put people who need direction in. Like that's why Morgan Freeman's great in his movies because he doesn't need to direct Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman does his thing.
Just go up there and say, "I'm Morgan Freeman. I'm Morgan Freeman." That's all you have to do.
2 of my favorite Morgan Freeman performances, like obviously Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption, yeah.
Yeah. But Unforgiven and $1 Million Baby, he's so great.
Yeah.
He works so well with Clint Eastwood. And that's the thing. Clint hires people who know their job. They go do their job. And then they can go get lunch because you're done shooting after 30 minutes. So
great. Whereas James Cameron is Mr. 150 takes. And damn it, we're going to get this right.
Who is giving women mental breakdowns like Shelley Duvall on The Shining. To be honest, I would also have a mental breakdown having Jack Nicholson screaming at me 100
Of course you would.
takes.
Like the man is shouting as standard. Like imagine if you tell him to shout, what that's going to be like.
That whole scene where he's just like, love of my life. I don't want to hurt you. I just want to bash your brains in. And just imagine having to do that over and over.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. I'm good.
Nope.
But those are my recommendations this week. So you all should go watch The Ice Road, which is on Netflix, at least
in
the US. I don't know. Is it on Netflix in the UK?
It's on Amazon Prime over here.
Okay.
They for some reason have an exclusive for distributing Liam Neeson films in the UK. Like all of them are on there. Yeah, good for them.
Jeff Bezos, why didn't you buy that here?
Well, he's just advertising directly to me, apparently. It's like, I know there's this one guy in the middle of England that will, damn it, he will watch every Liam Neeson film we put on the platform.
We're going to just deliver it to his front step.
Yeah, just do it.
Check out Aliens and watch some Batman.
Yeah, that's a solid afternoon right there.
Yeah. Now, Ian, I'm going to let you shamelessly plug one last time, and then we're going to wrap things up.
Yeah, go watch Cinemasins on YouTube. Go and follow me on Twitter. I'm most active there, so my handle is at galactic_Dave. Don't go to at Galactic Dave. That takes you to somewhere very unpleasant. So please keep the underscore. If you want to listen to me ramble about movies even more, but with an Irish person, go to an Englishman and an Irishman go to the movies.
Awesome. Ian, this was great. Thank you so much for coming on. And he'll be joining Lost in the Wasteland at some point, and then we just get to talk about all of your favorite things about movies.
Oh, lovely. Thank you for having me. It's been really fun.
And thank
really
all
good.
of you out there for always supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.